By now, you've probably already scrolled down your phone. You've probably already clicked this video to search the next on your recommended feed. You've probably already scrolled down to your comment section to see what everyone commented, if there even are comments, that is. This is a sign that you are overstimulated and you need something extreme to change your life, an extreme protocol to change your life. And I think this is just a video for you. I want you for the first time in a little while now, just hold direct eye contact with me. Practice some presence with me and actually focus on what I'm saying. Put down your phone for a while and just take the hands off the keyboard and just focus on me. Stop with whatever you're doing right now while watching this video, because this video deserves your full attention. Now that you've done that, and you're actually, for the first time in a little while, paying full attention to my words, and I want you to focus on me and focus on what I'm saying for the rest of this video. And I know this video is going to be fairly long, so it might be difficult. So if you have to split this video up in different sections, that's totally fine. But just whenever you're watching this video, pay full attention to my words and what I'm saying. So now that you're actually focused, I want you to grab a notebook and a pen, or just something to write on. By now your mind might already be bullshitting you, and don't bullshit yourself. Don't tell yourself that, I'll just do this later, for now I'm just going to watch this video. No. Right now, you take something to write on. Just take your phone and take some notes. If you're watching this on a laptop, take your notes on your phone. If you're watching this on your phone, take the notes on your laptop. Or actually take like a pen and paper to write on. Because throughout this video, I'm going to ask you questions, and I'm going to write the answers with you. You're going to have to pay full attention, so this requires your attention. So if you're unable to take anything to write on right now, stop watching this video right now and just come back later. So don't bullshit yourself right now, don't make excuses. If you have something to write on, if it's possible for you to pause this video and grab something to write on, go take it, go grab it. I'll give you some time to pause. Right. Now that you actually have a notebook and pen or something to write stuff down on, I want to get into my own experiences with social media addiction and addictions in general. I started this journey about 6 months ago, maybe even 7 months ago. I started this journey in October of 2022. I started my self-improvement journey. Before this journey, my addiction used to be YouTube. So I don't know what your addiction might be. Yours, dopamine, because if you're watching this, you're most likely going to go on a dopamine detox, and you have an addiction you want to stop with yourself. And my addiction used to be YouTube. I used to genuinely watch YouTube all day long. I didn't do anything besides watching YouTube. That was my life. I didn't study, I didn't work. I just watched YouTube and I couldn't do anything else. I had no hobbies. I used to stay up until 1 or 3 a.m. just watching something on my phone. And then eventually I'd go to sleep and I'd have to wake up at 7. So every single morning I was just sleep deprived. And you know how I started my morning? Phone. Started morning, phone. In my face. Blue light. Constantly, instantly. I was sleep deprived. I would start my morning by I'd have breakfast. Sometimes I'd even have my phone and YouTube on while eating breakfast. Didn't even know what I was actually putting in my mouth. I genuinely didn't even know what the fuck I was putting in my mouth, man. So I was sleep deprived and I couldn't do, of course, I didn't just suddenly start working. So my entire day just went the same as the last day, just YouTube, Netflix, and I just watched whatever. This is how I lived my days for months at a time. I didn't have any hobbies. I didn't have a purpose. I was sleep deprived. I didn't study. These are the times that I genuinely felt depressed, and I really hated myself in these times. I hated what I was doing with my life. I hated how I was spending my time. How I wasn't making myself proud. I wasn't making my parents proud. And I just hated myself for that. I really just saw no purpose in life. I felt completely empty because my energy was just being sapped away every time I put on YouTube. Every time I tried to do something besides YouTube, I would just quit, because in comparison, just sitting there and doing nothing and just consuming this fucking shit, it was just so hard. It was just so hard in comparison. After doing all of that, I discovered the gym. A friend of mine took me to the gym once, and I instantly fell in love because it was something that I wanted to do. It was something that I really wanted to achieve. So I went to the gym for a few months, for a month actually, for 2 months I think, yeah. And I was so happy going there because that was just that 1 hour that I didn't spend on my phone. That 1 hour that I was just totally focused on something else that I enjoyed doing and I wanted to work for. That I felt so happy in the gym, and I felt so happy, dieting. I was dieting to have, the thing I ate was just teriyaki chicken. It was just rice, chicken, broccoli, and just teriyaki sauce. I loved eating this way and just spending some time off of my phone. And so because of course I didn't spend that much time studying because of my phone, I'm doing something called commission of exams. If it's translated literally, it's called commission of exams. So what I do is just I have all the subjects of school, but I study them at home. And every month or so, I make an exam of that certain subject. So this was a time I made my math exam. And we got the results back, and they were absolutely terrible, as expected. So for the first time, my parents, they came into my room angry, of course, and understandable, really. And I was so disappointed, and they knew for a fact I was just spending too much time on, my phone and my laptop, and I wasn't actually using them for work. So I had to put away my phone and my Chromebook, which is what I'm currently recording on, my Chromebook. I had to put them in the living room, just away from my room. Just leave them there. And for the first time, I started doing new stuff. I started drawing more. I started studying way more. I enjoyed studying. I was making my own. I made a recent video, how to view life as a video game. Your life is just a video game. And I started implementing something like that. I made it, but something, the less good version. I made my life like a video game system, but that was too complicated, so I went with a more suited version. And I was making genuine progress, and then after a while I could just have my phone and my Chromebook in my room, and I wouldn't touch them. I could stay off of them with ease. So when I did have my phone then, suddenly I got recommended self-improvement videos. And after watching those, my life massively improved. Because the exam I studied for at the time of discovering self-improvement is my highest scored exam up until now. And people, like the professors, were saying that is the hardest exam. And I scored the most on that exam than any other exam I've made. Up until now, even. So it's clear to say that self-improvement really did change my life for the better. But for the first 20 days of self-improvement, my life was amazing. I felt amazing. I was doing so much work. I was so productive. I felt so good. But after those 20 days, wow, I'm just really laying my life. I relapsed I relapsed heavily. I almost basically went back to my old life. Not that much, it wasn't that bad, but I would relapse, and then I'd have a 5-day period which was very good again, and then I'd have a big period of like a month that was awful. So I started thinking back about those first 20 days, and I just started thinking back how did I spend those 20 days, and why were those days so successful in comparison to these days? And I overanalyzed my first 20 days, and I finally figured out what it was that made those days so successful. And I'm going to explain exactly what I did, and I'm now finally using again to you. I'm going to explain it in every detail you need to know how I changed my life. And for the past weeks now, my life has been on the same level as those first 20 days, which is genuinely just incredible. So before starting, so now that you know my experiences, I want you to make a soul promise. I have this word, it's called soul promise. If you can watch my God Journey videos, I'm going to leave them on a channel, but I'm going to start uploading them on another channel going further. But I use something called soul promises. So what I do is I kind of make a vow with myself that I will achieve something at that certain date, or will do this by then. And if I don't do it, there's a drawback. So what I do is, I make a soul so that's what I do. I make a vow, I make a promise to myself, and if I don't do that promise, I'll have to do a drawback. And I now, of course, like I said, God Journey, I record my journey and my daily journey and daily accountability. So I film this, and so now my viewers can hold me accountable if I don't reach this goal, and I'll have to make evidence that I actually did the drawback if I don't reach it. So that is just a part that I'll, of course, go into in this video as well. So I want you to make the soul promise. I want you to use this concept, and I want you to make the soul promise right now that you are going to use you're going to use the knowledge that you get in this video in 24 hours. Make the vow to yourself, make the soul promise to yourself that you will use the knowledge in this video in 24 hours from now. And make a drawback for it if you can't. It can be any piece of knowledge, because every single individual piece in this video will massively improve your life. I have one, Zone, you might see him comment on this video once again. Zone is a guy that's doing the God Journey with me, and he used one of the things that I explain in this, will explain in this video, which is Google Calendars. And by just doing that one thing, all of a sudden, by using Google Calendars and using that properly, because he kind of saw me doing it as well and he started implementing it himself, suddenly when doing that one small thing, his days, you can literally day 4 and day 5, day 5 and day 6. On day 6 of the God Journey, suddenly Zone had an amazing day just by doing that one thing. The same goes for me. I used Google Calendar and my days were already better than my previous days, but I added another thing. So I focus on what I should focus on, and by doing that one small thing, I also had an amazing / perfect day yesterday. So doesn't matter if you just take one thing, 2 things, or everything that you learn in this video. Just implement something in 24 hours and it will massively improve your life, because I have the person to prove it with, which is Zone. I have actual evidence that any piece of information you will get in this video will massively improve your workflow, your life, your productivity, and your purpose and just happiness overall. If you need to write this down somewhere, just write it down. For example, I use just my notes right here, so I can just use that. Okay. I have this little logo that I use for, soul promises, and it's this one. You see that over there? Yeah, you can see it. So this is what I use, for example, for soul promise. It's just a small logo. If you want to write this down, just write down. If you can pause this video, just write down for yourself so that you can remember more properly if you want to, and just write down soul promise. I promise to myself, or vow to myself that I will blah blah blah, and then draw back. Having done that, so you've made the soul promise now, we can move on to more so of the actual guide. Right, okay. Yeah, okay. So to start off, I'm gonna try and explain you what dopamine is. So I'm gonna give you the kind of like bro science of what dopamine actually is, so that you will better understand what dopamine, because I say dopamine a lot and I use the word dopamine, but what does it actually mean? So I'm gonna try and give you the bro science of it. This is knowledge that I gained from the neuropsychologist called Andrew Huberman. He has a podcast on YouTube with like 2 million subscribers. You can go check him out. Very smart guy, and he has helped me a lot in implementing this kind of stuff in my life. So what dopamine basically is, it's this feeling of pleasure. It's not okay. So how do I explain it? It's very difficult to explain that. The bro signs of what happens when you overstimulate or basically fry your brain with dopamine. So you have what's called, what's the word? Excuse me, just for 1 second. I have to think of the proper words. I didn't write down these words. That's it. So you have delayed gratification and you have instant gratification. So what you're probably struggling with is something that involves instant gratification. And with instant gratification, the way dopamine works is that you will get a spike of dopamine when engaging in this instant gratification. But then afterwards, your dopamine will actually go below baseline. So what dopamine basically is, it's this feeling of pleasure, and it's this motivational force. Dopamine you can use the word motivation for dopamine. When you are, let's give an example of delayed gratification, working out. With working out, you will not get as much of a spike in dopamine as you will with an instant gratification, but the long-term pleasure will be way more than instant gratification. Because if you do something with instant gratification, let's say junk food, you will often feel really bad after eating junk food. So you'll get a rush of like, oh, that is delicious when eating junk food, but a half an hour after eating junk food, you'll feel kind of terrible. It's the same with fapping, isn't it? We get something called post-nut clarity. That's basically your brain that's fried because of so much dopamine. It's too much pleasure, too much stimulation at once. So what happens with instant gratification, you'll get way more pleasure out of it when doing it, but afterwards your pleasure and motivation actually goes below baseline, which means you'll feel worse after doing that certain thing. And with delayed gratification, it is the opposite. So now that you kind of know the bro science of dopamine, I want you to grab your piece of paper again. So we're just going to take our notes, and I want you to write down all bad habits that you struggle with, or just all bad habits that you have in your life. So I'm just going to give you an example. For example, I will write down it's probably mirrored, but it says pointless YouTube. So pointless YouTube is, for example, a bad habit. that I struggled with, and that's what I gave in my experiences. So like this, write down all bad habits that you struggle with. I'm just going to give you a bit of time to do so. I might actually write down mine as well. So we'll just do it together. So I'll write down mine and you can write down yours. So it's just going to be a little quiet moment for a while. Right. So, before I go into what I wrote down, I just want you to really think about if you've written down everything. Is there one thing in your mind that you still want to write down as a bad habit? Because right now there is a part of your brain it's basically an asshole. I call my mind and my thoughts an asshole all of the time. The certain thing that your brain is making excuses for right now, that is the most important one. So just if you have something like that, highlight it, put some exclamation marks around it, because this is the one that you're the most addicted to. The one that your brain is making excuses for right now. Oh no, but it's just for fun. Oh, it's just for relaxing. Oh, it's just 1 hour a day. Oh, it's just... The one your brain is making excuses for, highlight that one. Make it even bigger, make it capitalized. Right, so if you've done that, I'll just go through my bad habits. So I call these the 7 deadly P's. It's just a fun name I came up with for the bad habits. The 7 deadly P's. So 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So I have pointless YouTube, porn, procrastinating, processed food, pointless TV, pointless shows and movies, and phone. So these are all the bad habits that I have currently in my life which I'll get into later. So these are, if you recognize any of these bad habits and you have some and you haven't written them down and you struggle with these yourself, write them down right now. I'll just give you a bit of time for that, or pause this video right now. Right, and now I'm just going to put this beside me. We are going to cut out these bad habits from our lives entirely. From now on, you will not engage in these bad habits at all. You're going to completely cut out these bad habits from your life. Oh, but just to check my messages? No. Oh, but just if someone sends me? No. Whatever bad habits you've written down right now, these are the things holding you back. Don't listen to your brain right now, because your brain is the same thing that has gotten you to this point, to feel like you can't stop, to feel like you're overstimulated, to feel like you hate yourself and you feel empty. Your brain has gotten you to this point. If you look around your room and it's filthy, you look at your body and it's flabby. Your brain has gotten you up to this point that you feel this way. So don't listen to your brain right now when it's making excuses. We're going to cut out all the bad habits that are holding you back from achieving whatever you want to truly achieve. Because you need something extreme. You can't do something balanced. You can't do something like 1 hour video games. We are not that kind of people. When you're addicted, you can't just have a bit of what you're addicted to. You can't say to a coke addict, okay, just one line. That's not how it works. You have to cut it out from their lives completely. So, as I said, 24 hours after watching this video, I want you to, this is non-disputable. What I said about the soul problem is that it's just from ideas to implement. This is something you have to do despite whatever you're gonna implement in your life. This is a must. You have to eliminate whatever you're addicted to and all bad habits holding you back. So, having eliminated, you now know all the bad habits you are going to eliminate, but this is not enough. A lot of people make the mistake and think that it ends here. That just eliminating the bad habit, just putting down the phone, putting it away, that's enough. It is not. Just deleting and cutting out the bad habits from your life will not fulfill you. You need something to replace these bad habits. You need something, you need a go-to. Your go-to might have been weed. Your go-to might have been alcohol. You had a go-to bad habit. But because that bad habit is now gone, you need a go-to good habit. You need a go-to whenever you feel like you don't have anything to do. That should be your go-to. For example, when you used to study and you were done studying, your go-to would be to grab your phone and check your messages. You will now need a different go-to after doing something like that. So we will change our go-to. I'll give you some tips on what your go-tos could be somewhere in this video, or maybe I'll just give it to you right now. So a go-to for me is reading and learning. Whenever I have nothing to do, I will watch a long form podcast or video to learn something, or I'll start reading. This should be your go-to activity when you have nothing to do. So I recommend reading and learning. If you have nothing to do, just fill your day with learning and reading, because reading and learning is not pointless. People say that if you learn and read something and don't implement it, then it's not worth learning, which is just stupid, because you're still actively learning it. You're still learning about the thing. So in the future, when you're actually about to implement said thing, you now know what to watch or what to do, because you've watched or read that certain thing. You get what I'm saying? So it's not pointless. Don't believe these people when they say it's pointless to just consume this information and not do anything with it. That's not true. It's very valuable to just learn information and not implement it, but only implement it way in the future. So, but once again, this is still not enough. So now you have a different go-to activity, but it's still not enough, because your entire day used to be just filled up of bad habits. So to replace these bad habits, you need new activities. And I have just a protocol for you to make an entire new day, to make an entirely new delayed gratification, good habit-based day. Because if you don't, you'll just end up relapsing. If you just put away your phone and don't do anything in the meantime, you'll just end up relapsing, because you'll grow more and more hungry for your phone. It's not so much that you need a distraction from your phone, you just need something, you need to grow into something new that you love doing, so that you no longer need your phone. You need to have something that you just want to spend time on, so much so that you don't even have time to think about porn on your phone or junk food. Your day needs to be so full, you don't have the time to even think about the bad habits. And that's exactly what I'm going to explain in this video. So, right here, right now, we're going to grab our notes again. I told you that we're going to write a lot today. So, just going to grab the page again. One momento. Right. I want you to grab the page that you were writing on, or just a different page, whatever fits you. And I'm going to ask you to just write down 5 to 10 of your goals. Just any goals you have in the coming year. So about 6 months from now or until December, any goals you have up until December or 6 months from now. What do you want to reach until that point? So we're gonna go with December. That's a good month to go with. So just write down 5 to 10 goals of whatever you want to achieve by December. I'll give an example. For example, oh, and I forgot to mention, I mentioned this after I show my goal. So, it's gonna be mirrored again, but whatever. So I wrote, by December, reach 50 subs. So what I want to mention as well is make sure that all the goals you write down are easily attainable, reachable goals. It's important that for now we make our goals as small as possible. You almost need to have a smug look on your face, like easily. I can easily reach that. You almost have to be smug about that goal, because you can't be putting large goals on your paper right now. You'll be more likely to, because if you write down big goals, you'll most likely not achieve them. You'll work less hard for them because they seem so unattainable. And if you don't reach them, it won't be a surprise for you and you'll just let yourself down. So write down goals that are easily attainable for you right now at this point in time. So just write down 5 to 10 goals that are easily reachable in your mind by December. So just 5 to 10 of them. So by December 5th. I don't know how many you are on right now, but I'm on 4 currently. It's actually more difficult than I thought to write down goals. Wow. I just have to make these up because I already have my goals, but maybe that's why it's so hard. Right, so I wrote down 8 goals. If you want to write down, if you have more, if you have 10 goals, that doesn't matter. If you have 5 goals, doesn't matter. If you want to write more goals, go ahead. I will give you some time to pause right here. Right, there we go. So now you should have enough goals. That should suffice. So what I wrote down is by December 50 subs, by December 100 euros self-earned, by December weigh 70 kilos, so bulk up to 70 kilograms, by December gain 10 new friends, by December, I just wrote by December, that's not very good, 30 push-ups by December, read 5 self-improvement books by December, can plank 5 minutes by December, and then I'll just write down one more thing. By December, three liters per day. So just go over all these goals, and I want you to pick from these goals, I want you to pick out the 2 to 3 most important ones, 3 max. It's better if you have 1 or 2 goals, but just take the 2 or 3 goals max that will change your life the most. So just pick 3 goals that will change your life the most in your opinion and will influence you the most, and you want to reach the most. So for me, that's the first 3 goals. So by December 50 subs, by December 100 euros self-earned, and by December weigh 70 kilograms. So just pick 2 or 3. Right, now that you've chosen them, I want you to just cross out all the other goals. We're going to cross out all the other goals. Just cross them out. No fear. Really cross them out. You can't even see them anymore. Just really cross them out. So besides the 3 ones you've chosen, cross all the other goals out. Because these are the goals that are holding you back. These are the minute goals that are holding you back from achieving the ones you actually want to achieve. Those small little goals that don't really interest you, they hold you back from achieving the ones that will actually benefit you. So now that you've chosen these 3 goals, we are going to structure your entire day around these goals. So what we're going to use for that is Google Calendar. So just have a Google, I might show a screenshot of my Google Calendar right now. As you can see, there is not a single part of my day that's not full. My entire day is fully planned. There's not a single block that's empty or just left white or open. Everything is just planned full. And what we're going to use and how we're going to schedule it is I want you to schedule it like this, because how it works is right now, if you don't cross out these other goals and don't structure your planning properly, this is your focus. That small little dot, not this one, that's just something I drew, but this small circle, you see that? That's your focus. Looks kind of like a coronavirus. That is your focus. So as you can see, the focus is just going in different directions. And none of these directions are actually very big. They're all very small arrows. Because you're not really achieving anything in these areas because you're focusing on too many at once. What we're going to do instead is have your focus look like this. That one right here. Maybe 2 arrows max, because that's what mine looks like. Mine looks like one big arrow and one big arrow a bit smaller than the other arrow. That is what your focus should look like. We're going to use something called the 80-20 rule, meaning that 80% of the time that you spend throughout your day should be focused on your main goals and objectives. Your entire day is going to be structured around these goals. As you can see, once again, my calendar is word block, which is purely French. and video work. My entire day is video work and French, because these are my main two goals. Sometimes, as you can see, I'll have a little block of like learning or reading to still, keep updating my knowledge as a go-to activity when I have nothing to do. As I said, my new go-to activity. But the rest of my day is purely based around my goals. So we're going to go back to my page of goals. And the 3 goals that you've circled, write the activity that will get you the most progress in this goal. So for example, for my goal to reach 50 subs by December, my main activity should be recording videos. So my main activity should be recording. For by December 100 euro self-earned, I'm trying to make a business and earn money from YouTube. So my main activity should again be recording. By December weigh 70 kilograms. By December it shouldn't be working out. It should be diet. My main focus should be diet plus gym. But that's a plus. That's just addition. But to weigh more, your main focus should be a good diet. Of course, with lifting when you go to the gym, you'll get more muscle while growing in size. But if you really want to just weigh 70 kilos, your focus should be diet. So, and for your main activity should be recording / plus scripting, because of these two you can make videos. So recording plus scripting. So a recording, so whatever you wrote down as your goals, maybe you have the same goals as me, which makes it easier. So recording is the 80 in our 80-20 rule, meaning that we will spend 80% of our time focusing on recording. 80% of our time goes towards recording. So 80% of our time goes to recording, 20% will go to scripting or learning. So as I said, the go-to activity, 20%, maybe 10% will go to the go-to activity, and then the other 10% will go to the additionary activity to reach our goals. And that's how we're going to structure our day. So I'm going to give you some more knowledge on how to actually, now that you know what tasks to do, so if you wrote down the main tasks to focus on. So for example, my entire video work block is just recording and scripting. I have a 6-hour block of video work. So 4 hours of that is just recording, 2 hours of that is scripting, of that entire video work block. That is how you will have to divide your tasks. Because once again, it's not about having focus like this. It's to have exponential growth in this one area by focusing purely or very much on this, instead of, reading, dieting, recording, scripting, learning, reading, meditating. It's too much to focus on at the same time, which is why you need to now focus on one thing. So you might be asking, but then how do I achieve, for example, weigh 70 kilos by December? Well, that's where we get into purpose layers. So right now, my focus goes into video work. But once my purpose of reaching 50 subs is reached, or when I've reached 40 subs and I only need 10 more subs, 10 more subs, meaning I won't have to work as hard on my YouTube channel as before. So now I can shift my focus from video work to a new layer of focus, now focusing on the gym. On the gym. And then once this one is completed, you can focus back maybe on business or on YouTube, or now you can focus on whatever else you want. So for example, for me, maybe it would be expanding in business, or it would be probably expanding in business, but it could also be, I can't think of something right now, but more, so it's something we call purpose layers. I'll make a separate video on that in the future, but that's how it generally works. So you'll have to adapt your planning. So right now your planning will be focused around the goal you have. And if there's a different goal that right now, goal you want to reach by December, you'll have to put that goal off for a little while and then reschedule your schedule to focus purely on that one, to focus purely on that goal and base your tasks around that goal, which you now have. So I'm going to get into the schedule. So we're going to use something called Google Calendar. The reason that Google Calendar is the best thing to use is because it's very strict. You can really adjust it as much as you want. It's very flexible, and because most of the time you might be working on your laptop, you'll just get a notification of what you're doing, of what you should be doing, and that is very good because you can really go into detail in Google Calendar of what you want to do. For example, in my video work block won't just be video work. I'll put in video work exactly what I want to do that day. So I'll put in, I want to record for 1 hour, script for 30 minutes, write new video ideas for another 30 minutes. That's how I'll go about it. So so we're going to use Google Calendar, and you have to, every evening, just as a part of your evening routine, fill in your calendar for the next day. Fill in your calendar with every task you want to do or achieve the coming day or that day. I use Google Calendar in combination with a notebook in which I write my tasks, as you can see. So I write down my tasks in my notebook, and then I make my Google Calendar around that notebook. So that's what I do. You can use the same thing, but I also suggest for now, maybe just use Google Calendar. That might be simpler. So when using Google Calendar, you have something called brain power. Focus most of your brain power on the most difficult task first. So with brain power, it's a bit like a stamina bar. Like a stamina in video games. You have a certain limit of brain power you can use each day. Every activity you do drains a bit of that brain power, which means you have to be very careful what you spend your brain power on. So, which is why in the evening we make the planning for the next day, because if you wake up and then you make your planning for the day, you'll have already sapped away a bit of your brain power for a coming day. Meanwhile, if you do the day before, you'll just use up the last remaining juice of your brain power before going to sleep. So that's the reason why we do it the day beforehand. So with your brain power, do the most difficult task first, because if you do the most difficult task first, you'll have the most brain power left for that task. This is why dopamine detox is so important in combination with this protocol. This protocol, by the way, that we're doing is technically monk mode. It's monk mode, really. You have to spend a lot of time on work, maybe even for a while, lay off seeing your friends, because your friends might be drinking buddies and escapism buddies. If you don't know what that is, I'll link a video I made right here so you can get that concept. But your friends might be drinking buddies and escapism buddies in reality, so maybe don't hang out with them during this protocol, because it might just end up having you getting relapsed again. So use what I said of Google Calendar and implement the most difficult task of the day and do that task first. If the most difficult task of the day for you, for example, is studying, you implement studying as your first block. So your first block of the day will be studying. If the most difficult task for you is recording or making an actual script, that will be your first block. And your studying will be in the afternoon, or your other activity will be in the afternoon. So this is for your choosing. I'm just giving you the knowledge. But once again, I'll take a look at my calendar, look at how I implemented it myself, and just So you can kind of get an idea of how you should structure your schedule yourself. Now, so we have our Google, so now you know how to use Google Calendar, you know what you should focus on and how focus works, that you shouldn't focus on so many different things at once. Purely focus on what will make you achieve these goals, because you have to relentlessly focus on achieving your goals to achieve them. Discipline is the difference between the one who wants it and the one who gets it. So you know how to use a calendar, you know how to focus, you know how purpose layer works, you know that you should cut out all bad habits and replace them with good habits that you are now going to plan in your calendar. And those those good habits are the tasks that will get you to reach those 3 main goals that you have by December. And now there is one important area missing, and that is accountability. If you really want to achieve your goals and you really want to live this kind of monk mode life, you need to stay accountable. There are different ways to stay accountable. You can stay accountable on your own, but the more effective way is to stay accountable with other people. Now you can implement your friends on this maybe, or you can implement your friends, maybe your family, but most of the time these people won't actually keep you accountable. So what I recommend, the best way to stay accountable at this point, is to do what my fellow viewer or my fellow God journalist Zone is doing, which is doing the God journey. If you just use the hashtag and just post in 24 hours, for example, I made a Google Calendar and I did this and that, you just post something like that in 24 hours, you'll have now made yourself accountable. Because right now you still have the choice to not do anything I've just said. You still have the choice to not do it in 24 hours. Maybe you didn't even write down anything I just said, even though I instructed you to take a piece of paper and pen and write something down. So being accountable might not be that simple for you, and you need people to push you forward. So if you want to do that, I certainly recommend just publish a video, start the God journey, or I did this in 24 hours, and use the hashtag Tempest Vanguard, whatever you see on my God journey videos. And that way, you will now be held accountable for your actions. You can choose to do that or find your own way, but I just recommend you do it in that way. So what else? So focus, you've learned the accountability, you've learned about soul promises, which are very good as well for attaining and setting goals for yourself, attainable goals. Whenever I make a soul promise, I never make it a soul promise I can achieve, because that will only make me feel worse about myself. Well, let me just check, because I have to check my different notes. I have 2 separate notes. So I have the ones I wrote down, and I have the ones that I did on my phone. So just a minute. Yeah, okay. That's it. Right. So that's all I needed to say to you. This video is actually not as long as I feared it to be, which is very good. So I really do hope I said everything. Right. Eliminate all bad habits. So eliminate all bad habits. Replace them with good habits, otherwise you will relapse. How the focus works, 80-20 rule, and the coronavirus stuff. Write down goals and choose 3 goals and do the implement tasks. Right, the schedule, Google Calendar. Okay, I said everything I wanted to say. So this is the protocol for you. So I'm just going to recap it very quickly. You have your 3 goals. All the other goals that you wrote down, you've scratched them out, because these are minute goals that are not important, and they are holding you back from achieving your true desirable goals that you want to actually reach, and will change your life for the better. Once you've reached these goals, come back to this video, maybe do this whole process again, and write down your new goals. And now you might have 2 to 3 new goals that will change your life, and you'll just cross out the other ones that are minute again and do the same process over. This is a ever-changing process depending on the purpose layer that you're on, which once again I'll make a video about in the future. So you've got your 3 goals, you know the bad habits, and you know all your bad habits, and you're going to cut them out. Be extreme about it. That's the biggest advice I can give you. Be extreme about cutting out these bad habits and eliminating them from your life. Have a one major task that you want to do to reach these goals, and 80% of your day should just be that task, or 80% of your work block that you base around this task should be, that task. So just base your schedule around these goals and these tasks. You have a new go-to activity whenever you have some free time. And that is all I want to say. This protocol has genuinely changed my life. You can go through my God journey in just 7 days. You can see how staying accountable and having an actual goal to reach and to work towards has changed my life, because that is exactly how my 21st days were so good. My first 20 days went so well because I had the goal to succeed in that certain subject, which was science, natural sciences. Well, it was biology, physics, and chemistry in one subject. And my goal was to dominate that subject and pass on it immensely. And I did. And that's how I made so much progress in these days, because I had a goal to work towards. When you have a goal to genuinely work towards, you will make progress, and you will actually do these tasks. You won't reach it. If you go into a car and you just drive somewhere, you don't know where to drive, but you're just driving, you won't make much progress. It's when you set the destination, that's when you know where to drive to. And it's the same thing for me. For a long time, I didn't know where or how I was driving. But now, I finally know what I'm driving towards. And I can plan my entire days around reaching that goal. You can be very extreme about this. You can literally plan every day until December if you want to. All focus around reaching that goal. You can literally do that. Just if you spend an entire day just planning your day around that goal, if you spend an entire day planning your months around that goal, you can genuinely plan your entire days for the coming months to reach that goal. That's how extreme you can go in this. So once again, take this knowledge, implement it in your own way, and in 24 hours, use and implement one of these things that I taught you. Be honest to yourself, and if you can be, post it on YouTube with the hashtag Tempest Vanguard. I'll see you all next time.